Do you remember when the sound of a screen door slamming meant somebody was coming home? Not a text message, not a phone notification, a real person walking through the front yard, opening the gate, stepping onto the porch while the smell of dinner drifted through the house. Back then, evenings felt different. Children raced bicycles down quiet streets until the streetlights flickered on. Neighbors sat outside, talking long after the sun disappeared, and somehow, even ordinary moments felt special. Life felt slower, didn't it? Not because people had easier lives, but because people still had time for one another. Do you remember waking up early and seeing glass milk bottles sitting on the porch, cold to the touch? Tiny drops of water sliding down the glass in the morning air. The milkman knew every family on the block. The paperboy waved as he passed by, and every neighborhood seemed to have its own rhythm. Back then, nobody imagined the world would one day become so disconnected. Mornings in 1955 had a certain feeling. Coffee quietly percolating in the kitchen, the sound of an old radio humming in the background. A father reading the newspaper before work while children hurried to get ready for school, then school itself. It felt different to children, walked together down sidewalks carrying books against their chests. Teachers were respected, manners mattered, and nearly every child knew what it meant to say yes, ma'am, and no, sir. There were no smartphones waiting inside pockets, no endless distractions pulling people apart. Just conversations, friendships, and real moments. Somehow, people seemed more present back then. Do you remember summer evenings? Not the kind we have now. Real summer evenings, when windows stayed open because nobody needed air conditioning. Running all day when the sound of baseball games drifted softly from radios nearby. When lightning bugs glowed over freshly cut grass, while parents sat on front porches, talking about life. Those little moments seemed ordinary then, but now they feel priceless. And then there were the diners, small places with glowing neon signs and checkered floors. The smell of hamburgers sizzling on the grill, fresh coffee pouring into heavy white mugs, songs playing softly from jukeboxes while teenagers laughed in corner booths. Do you remember hearing Elvis Presley for the first time, or watching teenagers dance to rock and roll, while older generations shook their heads in confusion? Even change felt simpler back then. People still gathered together. They still looked each other in the eye, and somehow, the world still felt human today. So many people sit together while staring into separate screens. But in 1955, families shared moments, real moments at night. Entire families gathered around one black and white television. One television. One room. One shared experience. Children sat cross-legged on the floor. Parents relaxed after long days of work, and for just a little while, everyone laughed at the same jokes, watched the same programs, and lived inside the same moment together. Life felt slower, didn't it? Back then, nobody imagined a future where people would carry tiny glowing screens everywhere they went. Nobody imagined children growing up indoors, or neighbors living beside each other for years without ever speaking. Do you remember Sunday mornings? Church bells ringing through small towns, families dressed in their best clothes, mothers carefully fixing collars before church, fathers standing proudly beside polished old cars parked outside modest homes after church. Came Sunday drives, no destination, just Driving windows rolled down, warm wind filling the car, the radio playing softly while telephone poles passed endlessly beside the road, and honestly, those simple drives became memories people still carry inside their hearts 70 years later. Children, in 1955, didn't need expensive entertainment, a baseball glove, a bicycle, a few good friends. That was enough. Do you remember hearing your mother call you home for dinner just as the sky turned orange? The smell of fried chicken filling the kitchen, fresh bread sitting on the table, the sound of silverware clinking while families actually sat together and talked. No phones beside plates, no distractions, just conversation, just family. Somehow, dinner meant something back then. People listened to each other, people noticed each other, and maybe that's what so many people miss now. Not just the old cars, or the music, or the prices, but the closeness, the feeling that people truly belonged to one another. Life certainly wasn't perfect. In 1955, people struggled, families worried about money. Many worked exhausting jobs just to get by. But despite all of that, there was a warmth woven into everyday life that feels harder to find now. Communities felt connected. Neighbors helped neighbors. Children felt safe, and people didn't seem quite so alone today. The world moves faster than anyone back then could have imagined. Everything feels louder, busier, more rushed. But maybe that's why memories from the 1950s still feel so powerful. Because deep down, many people are not just missing the decade, they're missing the feeling of hearing baseball games on the radio during warm summer nights. The feeling of handwritten letters arriving in the mailbox, the feeling of walking into a diner where everyone knew your name, the feeling of sitting quietly on a front porch while the world slowed down around you. Back then, people weren't connected to the entire world. They were connected to each other. And now, those days survive mostly through memories, faded photographs, old songs, stories grandparents tell their grandchildren. But for the people who lived it, 1955 was never just another year. It was childhood. It was innocence. It was family. It was home. Do you remember those days? Do you remember when life felt slower, warmer, more personal? And if you do, what do you miss most about that America?